Yo, the enemy's public, I gotta keep my eyes open. Pay attention, stop walking around like you blindfolded. This not the World Cup, but Nasir be kicking knowledge. This the type of information you can never learn in college. It's time to fight back, it's no more trying to play it cool. We got interviews, podcasts, and got the latest news. So sit back and relax, we about to get it started. Earth is a canvas, and guess who's the con artist? They brainwashing us, the system corrupted. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. I said you are now rocking with the enemy's public. Hey.
Peace. This is the enemy's public. I am Bro.Nasir. 50 years after the ambush of Assata Shakur and the Black Liberation Army, about a mile from where I grew up at in 1973, May 2nd of 2023 would be 50 years, 5 decades after a shootout on the New Jersey Turnpike left a state trooper and a member of the Black Liberation Army dead. The case remains a flashpoint. Some people know the surviving woman at the center of the story as Joanne Chesimard. They call her a cop killer. But to others, she's Assata Shakur, a folk hero of the civil rights movement. In so many other different organizations, such as Black Lives Matter, they start their meetings with a poem from Assata Shakur, said Donna March, a historian at Rutgers University and the author of the book called Assata Taught Me. The phrase that they use in order to talk about racism is anti-Black violence and anti-Blackness. Shakur's story rankles many in New Jersey, especially those involved with law enforcement, who typically only refer to her legal name, Joanne Chesimard. She was convicted of murdering a state trooper, and she's living in exile. Those who want to see her return to live out her sentence believe she got away with killing a cop in 1973, but despite a racial profiling scandal that forced the state police to enact reforms, the shootout with Black radicals a half century ago has never seen a formal review from state authorities, because in all actuality, as the title says, I think that the Black Liberation Army and Assata Shakur were ambushed. The way the traffic stop began is not under dispute. On May 2nd, 1973, Shakur and 2 other members of the Black Liberation Army, an offshoot of the Black Panther Party, were driving south. They said in a beat-up Pontiac on the New Jersey Turnpike. They were pulled over for a broken tail light by 2 state troopers. Shots were fired, and Zayed Shakur, a passenger in the back seat, and 1 trooper, Werner Forrester, were killed. Assata Shakur was shot twice and seriously wounded. Again, this happened about a mile from where I grew up at. Peace to Quentin Emerson. But exactly what happened that night is still contested. James Challenger, a retired detective with the state police, recounted his experience of the story to Gothamists a half century after he first investigated. He was called to the scene after the shooting and found Assata Shakur lying on the grass near the abandoned Pontiac, he said. She had been shot. She was screaming in pain and everything, Challenger said. He went with her to the hospital and processed some physical evidence, he said. Probably more than likely planted some physical evidence. The state police say the three Black Liberation Army members who had been on the run shot Trooper James Harper first. Challenger said he believes Assata Shakur shot Forrester point blank with Forrester's own gun. So they want us to believe that Assata Shakur took a state trooper's gun and shot him with it. Not the other way around. Not him shooting Assata Shakur and the men that was with her defended her. During Assata Shakur's 1977 murder trial, a driver who was passing by testified that he noticed the trooper car lights and saw two people wrestling by the side of the road. Okay, they were wrestling on the side of the road, probably meaning that a man was aggressing a woman violently and shot her, and they was wrestling for the gun. To me, this sounds like an ambush. It don't sound like two innocent state troopers on the New Jersey Turnpike stopped the Black Liberation Army and they ended up, and a cop and a member of the Black Liberation Army ended up being killed. It sounded like, it seems to me, it don't take a rocket scientist to put this together, that the Black Liberation Army was ambushed by the state troopers. He said there was only one person in that shooting scenario that had AB negative blood, and that was Werner Forrester. Challenger said that came to be an important factor in the case because part of Chesimard's Assata Shakur clothing, especially her socks, were saturated with AB negative blood. But in her trial, Sister Shakur told a different story. She testified that her friend who was driving got out of the car to present his ID to Forrester, while the other trooper, Harper, came to her window on the passenger side. Harper asked her where they were going and then suddenly told her to put her hands where he can see them. This is what she said. He had a gun in my face and I put my hands out like this, like so he can see them. And in a matter of seconds, I was shot. I mean, it was like a nightmare, Shakur said in 1987 on Like It Is, the show on ABC with Gil Noble. Shakur was convicted of first-degree murder. First-degree murder, that means that they planned this. It has to be premeditated in order to be first degree. They pulled them over for a supposedly broken tail light, and then guns are pulled out on the female in the car. See, they knew who the Black Liberation Army were and targeted them. She was convicted of first-degree murder by an all-white jury in New Jersey and sentenced to life plus 33 years in prison. But in 1979, two men who were visiting Sister Shakur smuggled guns into the New Jersey woman's prison in Clinton. They took two guards hostage, drove off with Shakur in a prison van, then abandoned the van and left the guards unhurt. See, these are murderers who broke the sister out, took the guards from Clinton prison, Etna Monahan today, that's what it's called today in Clinton, and left the guards unhurt. If they were murderers, they wouldn't have left the guards unhurt. Peace to my brother Big Dog Fulio G. Peace to the realist McCoy. Peace to my brother Bronze Flat Power God. Now, they left the guards unhurt. Murderers who murdered a cop. So they say. She turned up several years later in Cuba, where Fidel Castro gave her political asylum. They say she is still believed to be living there today. In 1987, she published Assata, an autobiography, which has sold more than 500,000 copies. In the book, she describes growing up in Queens and meeting civil rights activists for the first time when she attended Manhattan Community College. She got involved in student government and community organizations and soon got involved with the Black Panther Party when a chapter first opened in 1968. But law enforcement agencies targeted the Panthers, especially through the FBI COINTELPRO, a national program that infiltrated, disrupted, and attacked civil rights organizations and leaders. In 1969, the 21 Black Panther leaders were indicted in New York City, accused by undercover agents of coordinating attacks on 2 police stations and an education office. Though they were later cleared because the evidence was unsubstantiated. Peace to Grateful. Thanks for coming through. Now, this goes back to the question I asked on an earlier video. When we organize, strategize, and deputize, and try to make a difference, try to do things. Peace to Alexis Kinsey Davis. Thanks for coming through. When we organize, is that considered automatically, though we haven't committed one crime or act of violence, is that considered terrorism? Is that considered the corny ass name that they came up to call us, Black identity extremists, just for the mere fact that we are organizing and trying to do something to change our dynamic and the condition in our communities? Now, later that year, in 1969, police killed 2 Black Panther Party members, including, of course, Fred Hampton, spraying more than 100 bullets into an apartment. The raid has been described by several scholars and activists as an assassination. Of course, it was an assassination. In her autobiography, Shakur said those incidents led to her to flee and live underground and help form the Black Liberation Army. The group believed it should meet police violence with violence. The only way to stop someone from doing something to you is to stop them from doing it to you. Going to their brother in a courtroom is not going to stop them from doing anything to you. Praying is not going to do it. Marching, asking them, begging, and pleading with them will not stop them from doing harm to us. But if someone strikes you and you have fast hands and you hit them back fast and hard. They'll see exactly how they're making you feel. Your counter should be harder than their aggression. Now, she did the impossible, which is to escape the prison system in the United States and to become a political exile who retains her voice in Cuba. She's literally, to me, a symbol of liberation because she didn't go to others. She depended on her organization. And some brothers came out and they broke her out of the prison and took her to safety. Now I'm going to play this video. And after the video, anyone who wants to come up, you're invited. But it's not going to be a long one.
Tonight, a dramatic new push to recapture the only woman on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list, Joanne Chesimard, also known as Assata Shakur.
Today is the 42nd anniversary of the murder of a New Jersey state trooper.
May 2nd would be 50 years. This video is dated.
For a crime for which she was convicted. In a new Fox doc, Dan Bowens heads to Cuba, where Chesimard has been living freely for decades.
My arms were in the air in a split second. They shot me.
She's a convicted domestic terrorist who executed a state trooper.
Joanne Chesimard committed a crime. She was convicted. It's time to bring her back.
She has lived in Cuba for nearly 30 years, hiding in plain sight, even lecturing at a local university, under the direct protection of the federal government, a blessing from Fidel Castro. She's known here as Assata Shakur, but in the United States, law enforcement refers to her as Joanne Chesimard, her original name. She's convicted of killing a New Jersey state trooper back in the 1970s, later escaping prison and hiding out here in Cuba. Now, as the two nations, the U.S. and this island nation, attempt to repair old wounds, her case and her fate is back front and center. Havana. It is a city where history hides out in the open, easy to see as you walk these old cobblestone roads. From the classic cars, Chevys and Fords, to constant reminders of the revolution etched across the heart of this island nation. And on these same streets where the communist movement took hold in 1959, American fugitives were once welcomed, among the most notable Joanne Chesimard, living here under the name Assata Shakur. This is from an audio recording explaining her case to the Vatican before the Pope's visit in 1998.
I saw this as a necessary step, not only because I was innocent of the charges against me, but because I knew that the racist legal system in the United States, I would receive no justice.
But justice in this case, the concept of fairness, is as elusive as the fragile truce finally emerging between Cuba and the United States.
I think it's an example that justice has been denied to the trooper's family and, in a larger sense, to the state of New Jersey.
It was May 2nd, 1973, just after midnight. Chesimard and two other members of the Black Liberation Army, also known as the BLA, were stopped by New Jersey state troopers in East Brunswick.
They were targeted and they were ambushed and they attempted to murder the members of the Black Liberation Army. Again, this happened a mile from where I live.
During that time, there's a discussion with the trooper. The trooper has asked for identification.
The troopers discover an ammunition clip. There's a confrontation followed by a bloody shootout. One of the BLA members is killed, and 34-year-old Trooper Warner Forrester is shot with his own service weapon.
He had two children. And by now they probably had children. And he was an uncle, I'm sure. And he was a friend. And he was a colleague to the state troopers that get up every morning, put the uniform on.
Chesimard and the other surviving BLA members.
Again, they want us to believe Joanne Chesimard, our sister Assata Shakur, a small woman, was able to disarm a trained state trooper and shoot him with his own gun. Try again.
Sundiata Akali, seen here in a recent photo, were charged with murder. Investigators believe she fired the first shot, wounding the other trooper, then took Forrester's gun and shot him twice in the head as he lay on the ground.
Executes him on the side of the highway.
Her defenders maintain she couldn't have fired because she too was shot. She spoke about it in this documentary.
My arms were in the air in a split second.
Exactly. She was shot and found in the grass. According to the first detective on the scene, she was shot herself.
They shot me with my arms in the air and then again in the back.
In 1977, after a set of lengthy trials, Chesimard, by then calling herself Assata Shakur, was convicted, sent to the Clinton Correctional Facility for Women. It's now called the Edna Mann. She wouldn't be there long.
They held one officer hostage, put a gun to his head, and said to the other officer behind the maximum security, open the door or I'm going to kill this officer.
The escape happened on November 2nd, 1979, 2 years after her conviction. 3 members of the BLA posed as visitors here at the prison. Once inside, they pulled pistols and took 2 guards hostage, eventually escaping with Chesimard in a prison van. She lived underground for several years, and by the mid-'80s, Fidel Castro granted her asylum. Gone into the shadows of the communist island just 90 miles from Florida, but well outside the reach of U.S. law enforcement. It's been 40 years, 4 decades. In general, I mean, what's she been doing for all these years?
Well, we actually believe that she is being supported by the government of Cuba, that she is still a political activist down there. We believe she has lectured down there. We are very sure that she is down there and that she is in the public. She's in the public eye. She's out there.
Richard Frankel is the special agent in charge of the FBI's Newark office. In 2013, 40 years after that night on the New Jersey Turnpike, Chesimard was the first female added to the FBI's most wanted terrorist list, indicating U.S. officials feel she remains a direct threat.
She was a domestic terrorist. She was part of a terrorist organization, and she committed a terrorist act, killing the state trooper. So she's always been in.
Again, when we organize, they automatically call our organizations terrorist gangs, especially when CIA operatives made the so-called gangs who they are today. The Bloods, the Crips, and all these other so-called gangs who fight on the lie today, they are fighting on lies. The Hoovers, all the gangs, all the so-called gangs, I'm not going to name them all. They're fighting on lies because when CIA operatives' assignments were completed, they were assigned to gangs. So-called gangs. They were assigned to our organizations to disrupt and make them what they are today, neutralize our organizations and corrupt them and criminalize them. All of these so-called gangs today were implemented and they were brought forth to fight against racist white gangs and racist police departments. And they sent willing participants who look like us into our cities to corrupt, disrupt, neutralize, or criminalize our organizations. So whatever the Black Liberation Army is, or the Panther Party, the Bloods, the Crips, they are made in America because of the conditions of our people and because of the corruption of law enforcement.
the opinion of the FBI, a domestic terrorist.
The agency, along with the state of New Jersey, offering a $2 million reward for the now 67-year-old fugitive.
As crimes go, this was notorious.
Congressman Leonard Lance represents Hunterdon County, where the Edna man is located. He's written a letter to Secretary of State John Kerry urging Chesimard's return be made a priority, and is among a group of lawmakers threatening to withhold federal funding for U.S.-Cuban relations if the Castro regime doesn't extradite.
If we are to normalize relations with Cuba, then I think Cuba has a responsibility to send back to the United States these fugitives from justice.
We've only been trying for 40 years. It's not a political issue. It's an issue of justice.
Senator Joe Pinocchio represents parts of Morris County, where the jury that convicted Chesimard was from after she asked for a change of venue. He's drafted a resolution calling on the Obama administration to bring this prominent fugitive back to New Jersey.
Joanne Chesimard.
Obama wasn't touching that. He didn't want that smoke from black people. He doing all that other foolish, that cooning and implementing the abomination. He didn't want that smoke.
Chesimard committed a crime. She was convicted. It's time to bring her back.
In your view, is her case as simple as a fugitive on the run in Cuba?
No, Assata's case is not as simple as a fugitive on the run in Cuba.
Because Dr. Peniel Joseph, a professor of African American history at Tufts University, says to truly understand the gravity of the Shakur case, you have to take into consideration the charged racial climate in the U.S. during the 60s and 70s.
So I think in the 1960s and 70s, political radicals who were African American certainly ran into the duality of law enforcement in terms of what law enforcement might say occurred versus what actually happened.
The BLA, known for its militancy and violence toward law enforcement, considered themselves revolutionaries fighting for independence, modeling themselves in part on the Cuban Revolution just a few years earlier.
The Cubans will be very, very reluctant to release her because symbolically she means so much to them.
A godmother to late rapper Tupac Shakur, she remains a relevant figure in the Black Power movement, powerfully controversial as well. Just recently, Kane University in Union, New Jersey, canceled a commencement speech from musician Common over a song he wrote about it.
In the spirit of Assata Shakur.
There is no doubt, 4 decades ago, Trooper Forrester's life ended quickly, his end coming far too soon. Now, on these same streets where the woman convicted for the crime has written her own history, the next chapter remains uncertain.
This is a case that has haunted them since that day. The criminal justice system brought her to trial, tried her, convicted her, and she made her escape, and she's been living for 40 years outside of a prison.
And the U.S. State Department now says Cuba is willing to at least discuss the possibility of bringing home Chesimard and other fugitives. Meanwhile, no public comment yet from Chesimard's lawyer, who has canceled a scheduled interview with us. He has not returned our calls or emails.
Something that never happened to me just happened. It kicked me out my own stream. Peace to grateful.
Yes, great day. That's good. This is a good view. This is something we need to constantly bring, it to our attention. After 40 to 50 years knowing y'all did her wrong, you're thinking about bringing her to justice and say that, oh, their family, the trooper family, is feeling a certain way when you have been out here in these streets doing beyond fuckery for beyond those decades,
Yeah,
and then
that's
you say, well, we're gonna if Cuba doesn't do it, we're gonna stop funding. Did you stop funding to Ukraine and all the fuck shit that Ukraine has caused and what they have done with the Bidens?
that's what they do. They murder us and blame the victim. They make an excuse for why they do these things to us. They murder us or they aggress us violently, they oppress us, and they blame us, for fighting back. That was an ambush. Now they stopped them. If they didn't stop them, none of this would never happen. Now, the guns that were shot, how they were shot, those were trooper guns. So they say he was shot. Forrester was shot with his own gun. And Assata Shakur was shot with his gun. That means it was a struggle for his gun. What, she's supposed to put her hands up and just be shot and murdered? I mean, they want us to believe something that's just totally foolish. There was an ambush. Everybody knows it. It's more people supporting Assata Shakur than they're supporting the trooper. Now you have, of course, he has a family. She has a family also. They always say, oh, this person has a family. But the troopers, they murder family men. Police officers murder family men on a daily basis. They're not concerned about a man who they pull over who's more than likely trying to get home to his wife and children. But this man ended up in a bag because the police officer had no regard for the man who was trying to get home to his wife and children. Now, I have a wife. I have children also. I have grandchildren. You think because he's trying to get home, I'm gonna be sure that he get home before I get home if I'm able to help that? I'm going home if I can help that.
No, that's facts. That's facts. That's key survival, right? So therefore, these police officers and these troopers, they come in with this mindset. Oh, I'm over you. They come in with that same mentality that somehow or another someone told you that you was here to gun down a certain type of people. You know what I mean? And you have this it's this aggression because you can see it in their face when you meet them or you come amongst them. It's this I don't know how to describe it. I'm gonna say it's demonistic kind of way, like
Yeah,
an overseer, like the
also
overseer. You know what I
that's
mean? The
all
overseer
that
faction.
all that too. It's that more than likely first, what you just described. But then when they go to the academy and they get their perceived power, it's about us capitulating and others, not just us. Anybody they encounter, they feel they're over. But some people get, the courtesy that the law is governed over them. But more than likely, when it comes to us, it's about compliance and obedience. Listen to me. I'm the one you're supposed to listen to. Obey my orders. When they don't even have a reason to pull you over, but they want you to obey them and comply with them, even if they're not under the confines of the law. Even if they're breaking the law, they expect you to obey them. And then another police officer who called himself a good cop would watch a bad cop be a bad cop. So there's no good cop in the equation. If you're watching him violate somebody's rights, you can't call yourself a good cop. So where is the good cop in that equation? It's not one.
That's factual. I think it's still an aspect of the picture that has been painted, the indoctrination, even by them being indoctrinated with a certain story of them saying that they have always controlled us. which we know that's a false narrative, but they stay in that narrative. And it is very much up to us to continue to paint the right, correct picture. We have to be out here as righteous as we can be, but not taking shit at the same time. When I say righteousness, I mean in just being the good that you have always been, but knowing that you have the same power to fucking stand your ground at the same time. Stand on your fucking square and don't back down and
But,
don't be
but
afraid. Because
salute to no.
they go on, they feed off our fear, people. You know what I mean? They feed off our fear.
I see it like
It's mm-hmm.
I see it like this. Like when we say, you know, our ancestors speak to us and we act on the behalf of our ancestors, it's the same with them. They have ancestors too. Though they're wicked as hell, they have ancestors. And their ancestors speak to them too, which explains their behavior. In the spirit of the KKK, in the spirit of the Nazi Party, in the spirit of the damn skinheads. That's how they approach us in the spirit of the slave patrol. But that's what the origin of police any damn way. It's the origin anyway. So when they walk up on us, they encounter us, they're chest out. And I can honestly say 99.99% of them would not approach us without their duty belt on. Forget the badge, it ain't worth the 10 it's made with. But they won't approach nobody without their duty belt on and those weapons. The weapons make them chest out. And so they walk around with less than limited training, chest out, expecting somebody to comply with their unlawful orders.
That's true. That's exactly true. Not only that, you know, as they call them, the boys in blues, they have their fraternity as well, right? So they too meet up and discuss certain things, and they too focus on certain areas. Now, I'm not going to say that certain areas that some of us do reside in doesn't, you know, need policing, but we should be the ones that are there doing the policing. We see certain things going on. We should be the ones correcting these things. This is what we lost from like the 70s, the 80s, because this is what was going on in our neighborhoods. We made sure to keep our neighborhoods clean. If we saw a motherfucker we knew who was a pedophile, we handled that. If we saw someone that was running around robbing people, taking old people bags and going to people's houses and trying to do that thing, we handled that. We saw certain things going on, we handled it properly. See,
I agree.
we've
I
lost
agree.
our way. We've lost who we truly are because we got caught up in this materialistic world. And once that took place for real, it started taking us slowly and slowly away. I mean, now I'm not gonna say drugs wasn't here in the 70s and 80s. It was, but I'm gonna tell you right now, them brothers handled their shit. You had a lot of them coming home from Vietnam War from my time. You know what I mean? So they had a lot of that. A lot of them was heroin addicts. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the ones that I knew that was older, including my stepfather, he was a functional fucking addict. Okay, he worked 5 days a week, got high 2 days a week. He took care of his household, his woman, and the children, and still was able to get high.
Functional.
Okay.
Salute to my good brother, Realize. How you doing, brother, this evening?
Salute to you. I don't know who else is on the panel. It sounds like Sister Soul. I'm not
Sister
sure.
Grateful. Sister Grateful.
Grateful. Okay, grateful. Thank you. Grateful is nice to be on the panel with you. Hey, brother, enemies public. Hey, I'm just sitting back listening. And you guys are cooking on some real stuff. You know, some real topics. My mother and father, you know, they both went through those struggles. You know what I'm saying? And they beat the odds. You know what I'm saying? So this is near and dear to my heart, which y'all speaking on. I'm gonna be quiet, but I'm here listening. I'm really just listening. And I'll touch in on things that I want to touch in on. But y'all going in, man, and this is real talk, for a lot of us. So I appreciate the conversation.
Yeah. I don't know how much you heard. Brother Realize. We were discussing. It's May 2nd is going to be 50 years after the ambush of the Black Liberation Army and the Assata Shakur on the New Jersey Turnpike when a Black Liberation Army member was killed, was murdered, and the one of the state troopers were killed with his own gun. But they're trying to say that Assata Shakur took the gun from Forrester and shot him with it. Meanwhile, she laid in the grass with the first detective on the scene, found her in the grass shot. But they want us to believe that she took his gun and shot him with it. I believe her story. And you have to be a total idiot to believe the cop story with this. They're trying to paint her and the Black Liberation Army as terrorists and trying to paint police officers as the wicked, crooked state troopers as heroes and victims. They always want to bring, this person had a family, had children. So did the young brother Deontay Wright. So did George Floyd. Yeah. So did
Tamir Rice.
Kareem Gaines. You know what I'm saying? They shot her up because they pulled her over a traffic stop. They pulled her over earlier that day, okay? And she was some of us would say act crazy because we gotta be crazy in order for us to defy the authorities. Because we defy the authorities, we're labeled as crazy. But over a traffic stop, later on, they came to her house and murdered her. And her punk ass boyfriend grabbed his child and went out the back door and left her to die. This is what we're dealing with today. She had a man. He grabbed his child that wasn't from her and left out the back door and ran.
Like a pussy. I'm sorry, but that's just what I'm thinking in my head when I hear that.
Now, I don't know if he got a woman now, but every woman should flee him when they see him. He's not gonna protect you.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't fuck with no nigga that will not protect you.
He's not gonna protect you,
ladies. Man, listen, if he too soft to protect you.
1 second,
go ahead.
Brother.
I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead. You got it.
You're not doing this. I just want to make one point, and then you got it, brother. If those Koreans mess my wife's eyebrows up, they'll have a problem with me.
Man, if they mess one of my toes up, you know what I'm saying? My wife, if you mess one of my
eyebrows up, I'm coming to see them. So that lets you know how I am with my woman.
No, you're right. You absolutely right. You're not gonna harm a toenail on my wife.
Better get it right.
Coming to see you. You feel what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's all about protecting. Ain't that what we was made for? To protect and provide. But when we come to protect, right? When we start acting the ass, why are we looked at as criminal? Why are we looked at as this is a predator? Because we're not about to let nobody put their hands on our women and our children. See, the thing about it is, right? And this is what I'm starting to see. When we stand up for our women and our children, we're called radical. When we start to say enough is enough, we gonna get together and we gonna do something to change it. We're called militia group, and they come and wipe everybody out like the Black Panthers. They
The
come and
militia
wipe
group.
everything clean. You see what I'm saying? Hold
Militia.
on, OG. I'm just please let me get this out.
Go ahead,
Why
good
is
brother. Go
it
ahead.
why is it when we do something, when we try to gather ourselves, when we try to do something, is looked at as bad? You know why? Because they know if we ever stop fucking infighting and stop bullshitting with each other and actually love on one another, this shit is over for them.
Say it loud, brother.
It's over.
Say
And
that
I
shit
know
loud.
that I know that shit in my spirit. I know that shit in my soul, bro. Like, I know that these motherfuckers, the thing that they fear the most, which is why they won't even let your ass group up on the corner, nigga. They won't
Say
even
it
let you
loud,
group up on the corner. You know why? Because, nigga, they know if you group up and start to motherfucking think, really think, it's over.
thinking together too.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Coming
Start thinking
together and
together. You
saying, you
start
know
thinking
what, fuck
together.
all that bullshit. But guess what? It's me and you, nigga. Me and you. We gonna go do this shit together. They don't want that. They are totally fucking afraid of that. And I'm starting to say, I don't give a fuck what you're afraid of. Fuck what you got to say. Me and my brothers and sisters is gonna get together, and whether you like it or not, you gonna have to deal with it, nigga. How about that?
Yeah, hey brother, I can't disagree with that, bro.
Let me calm down, man.
I
I'm
agree, bro.
serious when I say that, man. It's time for us to stop bullshitting. It's time, man. It is time. Oh, gee, as a younger man, it's fucking time. It's been time.
It's been overdue, bro. Overdue.
It's overdue.
Overdue, bro.
Listen. Look, you know what, OG? I'm gonna say something without saying it, and I know y'all both. Gonna understand exactly what the fuck I'm saying. If you do something to me, and I'll land right there. If you do something to me, if you
I
do
know the
something to my
rest.
baby, if
I
you
know
do
the
something to
rest.
my baby, all
I
right
know
then.
the
I ain't
rest.
gotta say shit.
I know
Y'all
the rest,
motherfucking
brother.
woo, goddamn.
I know the rest, brother. I know the rest.
But see, this is the thing though. Look at the story that's been played out. Okay, I'm almost 50. Well, I'll be 50 in a year, right? So this is the story that they keep playing over and over and over again, right? So they keep playing. They're not creative for one. Okay, so
No,
they
not
keep
at all.
playing. They keep playing the same story over and over again, right? But see, the thing is, it's the mindset of our folks, right? And all of us ain't us. We know that, right? And all of them ain't them. So I'm not gonna say we got enemies everywhere, and they got enemies too. They got enemies within their own shit. We got enemies within our own shit, and this shit is a story to keep replaying and replaying and replaying over again. And to every single fucking thing that is in this experience, come to the realization that we have all been played. We have all been played, but we've been mostly played. And we've been mostly played because they know that we are the magical beings. You understand what I'm saying when I say we're magical beings? We are
Can
the
I ask you
ones that,
something,
that
sister?
everything thrives from. Everything thrives from us.
Absolutely.
This is how come they constantly stay at us because we are the ones they know that are true and living.
Can I say
And when
something real
you,
quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Listen, y'all. On some real shit, you are a weapon. You are a weapon without knowing it. If y'all listening to the sister Grateful, she's telling you, you are a weapon. You are a real weapon. That's why they approach you the way they do, because they know that at any time, no matter what, it don't matter if you got a gun on you or not, you ain't gotta have none of that on you. Why you think people will approach you like that? Because they know who you are. They know what you got inside you. They know that
OG
everything
doing my
inside
shit.
you is energy. You can send an energy bolt through your fucking chakras that they can't touch. They know that that's why they are afraid of us. And that's why they don't want us to get together, because you can't put all that energy in one room and stop it. Go ahead,
Any of
sister. I'm
us,
sorry for cutting your wisdom,
any
sister.
of us who use our minds are a weapon and a very dangerous weapon. And any of us who knows how to organize our people, and train our people, especially when it comes to training our people, on a physical level, because I don't know if people realize it. I'm gonna use the name again. I used it last time we was together, brother. Um, it's going to get physical, and it has to, because the only way you can stop somebody from doing something to you, sometimes you have to take their hand off you. I'm a counter
What is that?
fighter. I'm a counter fighter. So if somebody aggress me, I always have a counter technique to
The counter
make them
punch,
very reluctant.
counter move, counter
Put their
move.
hand
Yeah,
out at me again. Make them very reluctant. I guarantee you they won't use that hand no more. Guarantee.
exactly. Yes, sir. Talk your shit. Talk your shit, OG. I know what you're talking about because I'm a boxer too. Golden gloves 2 years in a row. I know what you're talking about, my G. So can I ask you something? You and I want to ask the sister something too. What was their biggest damn, how can I say this? What were they most afraid of back in those days? And they are still afraid of to this day. There's one thing, and I'm gonna let y'all, I know y'all can tell me, but there is one thing that they were afraid of back then that they are still afraid of today. What is it?
Well, for me, I would say it's our mind, our thought, which
Yeah.
is the magic for me. Because listen,
us.
we are the
I'm sorry,
creators, right? When I say that we are the creators, we created this thing, right? And people oftentimes don't understand me, right? I speak to a lot of people, they don't understand me. They're like, "Oh, Grateful's here, she's there," but I've experienced this through my own life. I've applied these things through my own life. I've attached myself to nature in my own life just to see if it was plausible, and it is.
Hey,
When
Grateful.
you
One of the things, brother, I'm gonna
No,
ask
I'm
you.
gonna let her. I'm gonna let her go.
One
Let her
of
go.
the
Let her go.
one of the things that
But I got a
they're
question.
afraid of, they're really afraid of, realize, besides our unity, they are very afraid of us having a pure, genuine concern for each other. If our
They
genuine
don't want us to
concern,
love each other.
if we really, really, really genuinely love each other and would kill and die for each other, that's what they're afraid of. The love that
They don't want.
we could have for each other. So that's why they always try to single out one of us and pull that person away and make that person think that they're
That
bigger.
shouldn't happen, G. That shouldn't happen. When you pull one, we should all fucking come out. Look. I'm sorry, man.
They pull away the person who they may think is the weakest, or the one
If you think that,
may
if you
be.
think you're taking the weakest link, then you're gonna pull the whole fucking chain. Now what's
What I'm
up?
saying is, they might even think the person that is the more, what I'll say, outgoing and arrogant. He can have a little bit of arrogance about him, and that people can be gravitated towards that person, and that person can get sort of a big
Ooh,
head.
see, now you talking. Now you
And
talking.
they'll
Now
pull
you
that
talking.
person away and
so
say,
so
"You're bigger
this
than
is how come they
the
promote the
Bobby
hate.
Brown thing, the Bobby Brown thing, the Smokey Robinson and the Miracles." You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. When you put that "and"
I
between,
believe this personally, and this is no joke. I believe this personally. I believe they are afraid of of a man or a woman coming and saying, you know what, we gods and we goddesses, stand up. They are afraid of us tapping into our inner selves. They don't want that one person that to tell motherfuckers, hey, you are a god, you are a goddess. They kill everybody who says that you are more than who you are. Because they know if we find out, like we are right now, that we are more, boy, y'all ass in some trouble. I'll land right there.
So this is how come they promote the hate, right? We can see it in the music. We can see it in the movies. We can see everything. We can see we've seen it.
Listen
And
to what you said.
even for the youngins these days, right? Like in my day, we was very much on the consciousness, and then it did turn into the gangster music and all that other stuff, right? However, I saw the transition. Like holy shit! And of course, the drugs hit. We
It
had drugs,
happened
but
in
we
the
wasn't.
90s.
Yeah, we know that. I'm a part of that. You know what I mean? I'm
Yeah,
of
I
that
watched
era.
it. Yep.
I
I was
wasn't
young, but I
necessarily
watched
a
it.
part of it.
I agree, and what you said was real significant. Grateful. When they said the hate, because if you listen to what they were doing in the '90s, in particular the late '90s, mid '90s to '90s,
I
when
don't
you
know if y'all heard.
hold
I
on,
don't
brother.
know if y'all heard.
Let me
My bad, brother. I'm sorry.
stop.
No
Let me
disrespect.
stop, brother. When brothers and sisters started trying to hold and calling people out on their foolishness. Okay, the very first thing, and it started with hip hop, and it went everywhere. The very first thing, it started from player hater until they took player out because everybody's not a player. So they just started saying you're a hater, and they used that to make you reluctant and to discourage you from calling somebody out. Because the very first thing when you try calling somebody out on their foolishness, they'll say you're hating.
You know what I don't like is mind your business. Well, you is my business. You my business. You my brother, you my sister, you my auntie, my uncle, you know what I'm saying? My niece, my nephew, you my fucking business. So I'm minding my business by checking you.
Yeah.
And we have listen, we have let everybody else's lifestyle impede on our lifestyle. We never used to live like this, man. We didn't. We loved each other, man. We lived 15, 20 deep in the house. I remember when I was growing up, man, it was like 20 niggas in the crib. You feel me? Everybody was doing their thing. My parents, their parents didn't put nobody out at 18. Nigga, if you need to stay here, you can stay here as long as the fuck you need to. And guess what? Out of them 15 children, 5 of them children got together and did some shit, man.
Well, good brother, good sister.
Because they trust each other, man.
I only want to go an hour. Okay, and so
I'm
I
gonna
want
be
to go
quiet.
an
You got it,
hour.
my G. I'm sorry.
No. We got 2 minutes left, and I want you two to take a minute to close out. I only want to go an hour. So whoever wants to take it first, got it.
I'm gonna let
You
the
got it, sister.
young brother. I'm gonna let the young brother close out because I think you need your perspective that we need to hear, and I'm gonna
Okay.
let you go ahead and close out for us.
Okay.
Okay, so what I'm gonna say is to everyone, to the old, to the elders, to the young, it's time to bridge that gap because I want to connect with my elders, right? And I feel like I'm that bridge. You know what I'm saying? I want to connect with my elders, man. It's time to stop infighting. It's time to stop infighting, fighting each other, doing all this corny shit. Man, we are way more tough than that. We don't even get down like that. If we still fighting each other over bullshit, I don't get it. I don't get it. It's time, god damn it. Our children, our grandchildren, in y'all's thought process. That's who we fighting for. I'm fighting for my son. I know he gonna have a child. I know he gonna fuck. The boy, he's a handsome fucker. I know these women in high school is on him. I know. So we have to build each other up so that we can. Cause see, guess what? I'm gonna tell y'all something. Children don't come with instructions. We don't have instructions. We don't have instructions when it comes to life. We just gotta do it. We gotta figure this shit the fuck out. All I'm saying, y'all, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong. But I'm saying We have to stop giving each other away, giving up on each other. We got to start loving each other through and through.
Yes.
Through and through, goddammit. Stop kicking our fucking children out at 18 like they fucking know what the fuck they doing. Like they gonna go out there at 18 and know what the fuck going on in the world. Man, listen, I'm 38, bro, and I'm still learning. So how in the fuck the child at 18 know what the fuck they doing? We gotta stop that shit. We allow these people to tell us what the fuck to do. They told us to get rid of our children. All right, you raised them, now get rid of them. No, that's bullshit. We didn't do that. We didn't do that, bro. We didn't do that, bro. Sis, we didn't do that. It's time for us to start living like us again. And brother, go ahead. I'm sorry, bro. Go ahead.
I'm trying to close out because we went over the hour mark. I didn't want to go over an hour. But I appreciate your contribution, brother. I always appreciate, I appreciate your passion, brother. And I appreciate the sister coming up and contributing to the build. Now, what we also need to do is we need to meet people where they're at and build from there. And we need to stop discrediting those who stood and acted on our behalf, because first, they didn't have what we have. Their knowledge was not as accessible as the knowledge that we have. And they did the best with the knowledge that they had. And my sentiment is, if all we could produce as a people are sellouts, coons, agents, okay, and people like that, what does that say to about us as a people? And that's all we can produce. We got to get out of, when we go and we do research, thinking that we found what we need to suffice us as what we need to know. And we need to stop with the down talk and what word I'm looking for. We need to stop disrespecting those who stood and acted on our behalf in the past. We need to stop that. It's not right. Because for one, if you can point out what a person isn't doing or haven't done, why aren't you doing it? A soldier is supposed to cover down. When a soldier, if they see something that should be done and need to be done, they're supposed to be doing it, not complaining that it's not being done. If you see it, you do it. Don't tell this man he should be doing. Don't tell this sister he should be doing something when you're the one who see it. You see it, you do it.
Don't punch down, lift up.
We have a problem. We have a serious problem with self accountability. I'm not going to point out what a person didn't do or is not doing. If I see it need to be done, I'm the one that see it. Perhaps that brother or sister don't see it. We got a serious problem with pointing out what other people are not doing and not doing a goddamn thing, not the least bit. That's the problem with our people. Cover down as a soldier. I'm going to start posting up general orders. I'm going to post up a general order of the day. I'm going to post one every time I go live from now on to let a person know what we're supposed to be doing. We are supposed to be doing. Not you, not me, us together as a collective.
Stop punching down and lift up.
Stop pointing the finger at each other and saying what each other are not doing.
Stop punching down and lift up.
Maybe that brother or sister don't see it. And in closing, brothers, I'm just going to do a rundown of the family who came through and thank them for coming through. Thanks to Nora Party, my brother, OG Green Machine, Raborn, Brown's Flat Power God, Big Dog Philly OG, Alexis Kinsey Davis, Grateful, thanks for coming up. Thank the brother Real Lives for coming up. Thanks to the realist McCoy and the brother Quentin Emerson. I'm going to end this stream now, brother and sister, because I went over. Take a few seconds to close out. Just a few seconds, 30 seconds each.
Well, no,
Stop punching down, lift up. That's all I gotta say. Stop punching down, lift up. You got it, sister.
Indeed, peace.
Definitely, definitely. And internalize. Go have conversations with yourself. Figure out where it is that you see fault within yourself and where you play within this shit too. You know what I mean? Because oftentimes we don't look at ourselves. You have to go sit with yourself and internalize and figure out where it is that you made the mistakes too within this experience, and see how you can also become better, be a better experience. Therefore, you'll start giving better experiences, not only to yourself, your kind, and your family, but to this whole existence.
That's dope. I feel that. Thank you, brother and sister, for coming up. Thanks to the family in the chat. This is The Enemy's Public. I am Bro.Nasir. Like, share, subscribe. Leave a comment in the comment section. Peace.
Yo, the enemy's public, I gotta keep my eyes open. Pay attention, stop walking around like you blindfolded. This not the World Cup, but Nasir be kicking knowledge. This is the type of information you can never learn in college. It's time to fight back, it's no more trying to play it cool. We got interviews, podcasts, and got the latest news. So sit back and relax, we about to get it started. Earth is a canvas, and guess who's the con artist? They brainwashing us, the system corrupted. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. You are now rocking with the enemy's public. I said you are now rocking with the enemy's public. Hey.
Public.